Crisis at Old Trafford, Bruno and Mainoo out for Newcastle. How will United line up? Hello everyone and welcome back to United Daily Updates. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel right now because we are the most trusted source for Manchester United news. We bring you breaking stories, honest analysis, and everything you need to know about the Red Devils. Today we have absolutely massive news that changes everything for the Boxing Day match. The nightmare before Christmas. Picture this. Manchester United are preparing for one of the biggest games of the season. Newcastle United are coming to Old Trafford on Boxing Day. The team needs to win. The fans are demanding results. Ruben Amorim is under huge pressure. And then disaster strikes. Bruno Fernandes is injured. The club captain. The main playmaker. The player who creates almost everything for this team. He picked up a soft tissue injury against Aston Villa and had to be substituted at half-time. Now he is out for the Newcastle game. But it gets worse. Kobbie Mainoo is also injured. The young midfielder who has been one of United's best players this season. The player who brings energy and creativity to the middle of the pitch. He suffered a calf problem in training before the Villa game. Now he is also out for Boxing Day. Two of United's three best midfielders are missing. At the same time. For one of the most important games of the season. This is a crisis. This is a nightmare. And Ruben Amorim needs to find a solution fast. The big question is, how will Manchester United line up against Newcastle without Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo? What formation will they use? Who will play in midfield? Can they possibly win without their two best creative players? Let me take you through everything you need to know about this massive problem. The injury crisis gets worse. Before we talk about solutions, let me explain just how bad the injury situation is at Manchester United right now. Harry Maguire has been out for weeks with injury. Matthijs de Ligt is also injured and his absence has been longer than expected. Lainery Yoro, Lisandro Martinez and young Aiden Heaven have been covering at centre-back, but the depth is being tested. Then you have the Africa Cup of Nations coming up in January. Amad Diallo will leave for Ghana. Bryan Mbeumo will go to Cameroon. Nasser Mazraoui will join Morocco. These three players could be away for up to 5 weeks. United were already struggling with injuries at the back. Now they are hit with a midfield crisis at the worst possible time. The Christmas period is always the busiest part of the season. Games come thick and fast. You need your whole squad fit and ready. Manchester United do not have that luxury right now. Bruno Fernandes picked up his injury during the 2-0 defeat to Aston Villa. He tried to play through it in the first half but clearly was not right. Amorim took him off at half-time and replaced him with Mason Mount. After the game, it was confirmed that Bruno had suffered a soft tissue injury. What does that mean? Nobody knows for sure yet. Soft tissue injuries can be anything from a minor muscle strain to something more serious. The club will do scans and tests to find out exactly what the problem is. But one thing is certain. Bruno will miss the Newcastle game on Boxing Day. The timeline for his return is unclear. Some reports suggest he could be back within a week or two. Others worry it could be longer. Ruben Amorim should give us more information during his Christmas Eve press conference. But for now, all we know is that United's captain will not play against Newcastle. Kobbie Mainoo's injury is equally worrying. He suffered a calf problem in the last training session before the Villa game. This is why he did not play at Villa Park. At first, nobody was sure how serious it was. Maybe he would be back for Newcastle. Maybe it was just precautionary. But now it looks like Mainoo will also miss the Boxing Day match. Calf injuries can be tricky. They can heal quickly or they can linger for weeks. United cannot afford to rush him back and risk making it worse. So here we are. Two crucial midfielders out. A must-win game coming up. And Ruben Amorim scratching his head trying to figure out what to do. Why this is such a big problem. Let me explain why losing Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo at the same time is such a disaster for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes is the creative heartbeat of this team. Everything goes through him. He takes the corners. He takes the free kicks. He makes the key passes. He scores important goals. He drives the team forward. Without Bruno, Manchester United lose their main source of creativity. Who is going to create chances? Who is going to unlock defenses? Who is going to provide that killer pass? The stats back this up. Bruno has more assists than anyone else in the squad. He creates more chances per game than anyone else. He completes more key passes than anyone else. Take him out of the team and suddenly United look toothless in attack. But it is not just about what Bruno does on the pitch. He is also the captain. He is a leader. He demands high standards from his teammates. When things are not going well, Bruno is the one who tries to drag the team forward through sheer willpower. Without him, Who leads the team? Who takes responsibility? Who drives the others on when the game gets tough? Kobbie Mainoo brings something different but equally important. The 18-year-old has been a revelation this season. He glides past players with ease. He keeps possession under pressure. He links the defense and attack. He makes United tick. Mainoo also brings energy and legs to the midfield. He can press opponents. He can track runners. He can cover ground all day long. At his age, his fitness levels are incredible. Losing both Bruno and Mainoo means Manchester United lose creativity, leadership, energy, and ball-carrying ability all at once. These are huge losses. These are not players you can easily replace. And the timing could not be worse. Newcastle United are a good team. They finished in the top 4 last season. They have quality all over the pitch. They will come to Old Trafford full of confidence. United need to win this game. They are way down the table. They need points desperately. Losing at home to Newcastle on Boxing Day would be a disaster. The fans would go crazy. The pressure on Amorim would become unbearable. So what can he do? How can he set up the team without his 2 best midfielders? The good news, Casemiro is back. Before we panic completely, there is some good news. Casemiro is available for the Newcastle game. The Brazilian midfielder was suspended for the Aston Villa match after picking up too many yellow cards. This meant he had to sit out and watch from the stands as United lost 2-0. But his suspension is over now. He is available for selection against Newcastle. And you can bet he will go straight back into the starting lineup. Casemiro has had a mixed season so far. Some games he has looked good. Other games he has looked slow and past his best. But he is still an experienced player who has won everything in the game. 5 Champions League titles. Multiple league championships. He knows how to handle big games. Having Casemiro back gives Amorim at least one reliable midfielder to build around. The question is who plays next to him. This is where things get tricky. Let me take you through the 3 main options that Manchester United have for the Newcastle game. Option 1. The defensive duo. The first option is to play it safe. Go defensive. Try not to lose rather than trying to win. This would mean playing Casemiro alongside Manuel Ugarte in a double pivot. 2 holding midfielders sitting in front of the defense. Protect what you have. Make it hard for Newcastle to create chances. Ugarte has struggled since joining Manchester United. He was signed from Paris Saint-Germain in the summer for big money. Everyone expected him to be an immediate success. But it has not worked out that way so far. The Uruguayan midfielder has found it hard to adapt to English football. The pace is quicker than he is used to. The physicality is greater. He has made mistakes. He has looked lost at times. Against Aston Villa with Casemiro suspended, Ugarte started in midfield. He did not play well. He gave the ball away. He was caught out of position. His performance levels did not improve even though he was getting the chance to start. But maybe playing next to Casemiro would help him. Maybe having an experienced partner would give him more confidence. Maybe the defensive responsibility would be shared and that would take pressure off him. In this system, Ugarte would play as the deepest midfielder. His job would be to win the ball back and keep things simple. Just pass it to a teammate. Do not try anything fancy. Protect the defense. Casemiro would play slightly higher. He has a good passing range. He can spray balls out to the wingers. He can step forward and join attacks when it is safe to do so. He would be the more creative of the 2. The problem with this approach is obvious. You are playing 2 defensive midfielders. Where do the goals come from? Who creates the chances? United already struggle to score. Taking away even more creativity makes that problem worse. You would basically be asking the attackers to do everything themselves. Rashford, Garnacho, and Højlund would need to create their own chances. They would get very little support from midfield. Against a team like Newcastle who have a good defense, this could be a recipe for a boring 0-0 draw. Or worse, Newcastle could score on the counter-attack and United would not have the creativity to fight back. This option is probably too negative. It might avoid a heavy defeat, but it is unlikely to get a win. And United need wins right now, not draws. Option 2. Mason Mount drops deeper. The second option is more interesting. Mason Mount has been playing as the number 10 in recent games. What if he drops back into the midfield pivot next to Casemiro? Mount is more similar to Bruno Fernandes than either Casemiro or Ugarte. He can pass. He can create. He has an eye for goal. He is comfortable on the ball under pressure. This season has been Mount's best since joining Manchester United. He finally looks like the player who was so good at Chelsea. He is getting game time. He is building fitness. He is showing why United paid £55 million for him. If Mount drops into midfield, he could be the creative spark that United need. He would not be as good as Bruno, obviously. Nobody at the club is. But he would at least provide some passing quality and some forward thinking. Casemiro and Mount as a midfield two actually make some sense. Casemiro provides the defensive cover. Mount provides the creativity. It is balanced. But this creates a new problem. If Mount drops into midfield, who plays as the number 10? The obvious answer is Joshua Zirkzee. The Dutch striker has had a terrible season. He started well but then completely lost form. He was even booed by his own fans during the last game against Newcastle at Old Trafford. Bringing Zirkzee back into the team against Newcastle would be a huge risk. The fans have turned on him. His confidence must be rock bottom. One mistake and Old Trafford will be on his back again. But maybe this is exactly what Zirkzee needs. A chance to prove himself. A chance to show he can handle the pressure. A chance to win back the supporters. Zirkzee playing as the number 10 would give Højlund more support up front. The two of them could link up. They could combine. Zirkzee could drop deep and create space for others to run into. It could work. Or it could be a disaster. With Zirkzee, you just never know what you are going to get. This option is more attacking than playing Ugarte. It gives United more chance of scoring goals. But it also leaves them more exposed defensively. Mount is not as good at defending as Ugarte. If Newcastle press high and win the ball in midfield, United could be in trouble. This is a risky option, but it might be the one that Amorim goes for. He knows United need to attack. He knows they need to score goals. Playing Mount and Zirkzee gives them a better chance of doing that. Option 3. The youth gamble. The third option is the wild card. Throw in a young player and hope for the best. Jack Fletcher is an 18-year-old midfielder who just made his Premier League debut against Aston Villa. He came on as a substitute and played the final few minutes. Now some people are suggesting he could start against Newcastle. This would be an enormous gamble by Amorim. Fletcher has barely played any senior football. Starting him in such a big game would be throwing him in at the deep end. But Manchester United have a history of doing this. Erik ten Hag did it with Kobbie Mainoo last season. Mainoo was unknown. He had barely played. Then injuries forced ten Hag to start him. And look how that turned out. Mainoo is now one of the best young midfielders in England. Could Fletcher follow the same path? Could he be the next young star to emerge from the academy? It is possible. Fletcher is highly rated at the club. The coaches think he has huge potential. He is comfortable on the ball. He has good vision. He works hard. All the ingredients are there. Starting Fletcher would mean playing him alongside Casemiro in midfield. The experienced Brazilian could guide him through the game. Tell him where to be. What to do. How to handle the pressure. The problem is this is Newcastle United at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. This is not some small cup game where you can afford to experiment. This is a massive game with huge pressure. Is it fair to ask an 18-year-old to handle that? Probably not. As exciting as it would be to see Fletcher start, it is probably too much too soon. He has only just made his debut. Let him get more minutes off the bench first. Build his confidence gradually. Then maybe give him a start in a few weeks. This option is the least likely of the three. It would be exciting. It would be brave. But it would also be incredibly risky. I do not think Amorim will do it. What formation will United use? Here is another big question. What formation will Manchester United play against Newcastle? Remember, Ruben Amorim was planning to experiment with a 4-3-3 formation. He told his players before the Wolves game that a change was coming. The plan was to use Afcon as the opportunity to try this new system. But now with Bruno and Mainoo injured, does that change things? A 4-3-3 needs 3 midfielders. Right now, United only have one fit midfielder who you would want to start. That is Casemiro. Ugarte is struggling. Mount would have to drop deeper. Fletcher is too inexperienced. This might force Amorim to stick with his 3-4-2-1 system for one more game. At least that way, you only need 2 midfielders. Casemiro and someone else. Then you have 2 number 10s playing higher up the pitch. But who would play as the 2 number 10s if Bruno and Mainoo are both out? Mount could play there. Zirkzee could play there. Maybe even Eriksen if he is fit. The problem with sticking to the 3-4-2-1 is that it has not been working. Everyone knows that. Amorim himself admitted it by saying he wanted to try something different. Going back to it now after saying you want to change seems like a backward step. My prediction is that Amorim will still try the 4-3-3 against Newcastle. Here is why. He has already told the players a change is coming. The work has been done at Carrington. They have practiced this formation in training. The players know what is expected of them. Switching back to the 3-4-2-1 now would be confusing. It would send mixed messages. The players would wonder what the plan actually is. Also, the 4-3-3 might actually work better without Bruno. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Bruno can sometimes be undisciplined. He wanders all over the pitch. He tries difficult passes that do not come off. He loses possession. With Bruno out, maybe the midfield will be more structured. Maybe Mount and Casemiro will keep things simpler. Maybe the team will be more balanced and harder to play against. So my predicted lineup for Newcastle is Onana in goal, Dalot, Martinez, Euro, and Mazraoui as the back four, Casemiro and Mount as the midfield two, Garnacho, Xerxes, and Rashford as the front three. Højlund could start instead of Xerxes depending on fitness. That is a team that could beat Newcastle. It has defensive solidity with Casemiro and the back four. It has creativity with Mount and the attacking players. It has pace on the wings with Garnacho and Rashford. Will it work? We will find out on Boxing Day. Can United win without Bruno and Mainoo? This is the million-dollar question. Can Manchester United actually win this game without their two best creative midfielders? Honestly, it is going to be very difficult. Bruno and Mainoo have been so important this season. Taking them both out of the team at the same time is a massive blow. Newcastle are not an easy opponent. They have Alexander Isak up front, who is one of the best strikers in the league. They have Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, who can control games. They have a solid defense. They are well coached and organized. United will need to be at their very best to beat Newcastle even with a full-strength team. Without Bruno and Mainoo, the task becomes even harder. But it is not impossible. Football is unpredictable. Sometimes the underdog wins. Sometimes players step up when given the chance. Sometimes a team plays better without their star players because everyone else has to take more responsibility. Marcus Rashford in particular needs to have a big game. He has been awful this season. His form has completely disappeared. But maybe this is his chance to remind everyone what he can do. Maybe without Bruno, Rashford will get more of the ball. Maybe he will finally show some hunger and desire. Alejandro Garnacho is another player who needs to step up. The young Argentine has been inconsistent, but he has quality. On his day, he can be unplayable. United need one of those days from him against Newcastle. Rasmus Højlund also needs to deliver. The Danish striker has not scored enough goals this season. The service has been poor, but he also needs to make more of the chances he does get. Against Newcastle, he might be isolated up front. He needs to hold the ball up, bring others into play, and take any chances that come his way. The defense needs to be solid. If United cannot score many goals, then they absolutely cannot concede. A clean sheet gives them a chance. One goal might be enough to win the game if the defense does its job. And Casemiro needs to have the game of his life. He is the only experienced, quality midfielder available. Everything will go through him. He needs to control the tempo. He needs to protect the defense. He needs to help start attacks. It is a huge responsibility. Can United win? Yes. Will they win? I am not so sure. This is going to be one of the toughest games of the season given the circumstances. What happens if United lose? Let me be brutally honest about what is at stake here. If Manchester United lose to Newcastle on Boxing Day, the pressure on Ruben Amorim will become enormous. The fans are already losing patience. The results have not been good enough. The performances have been poor. Another defeat at Old Trafford would push things close to breaking point. The media will go crazy. Every newspaper will have stories about Amorim being on the brink. Every pundit will question whether he is the right man for the job. The criticism will be relentless. Ineos, the new owners, will start having serious discussions about his future. They backed him in the summer. They gave him money to spend. They believed in his vision. But if results do not improve soon, they might start looking at other options. A loss to Newcastle would also leave United way down the table. They could be 15 points or more off the top four. At that point, Champions League qualification starts to look almost impossible. And if United miss out on the Champions League again, that has huge financial implications. The atmosphere at Old Trafford would turn toxic. The fans would boo. They would demand changes. Some would call for Amorim to be sacked. It would be ugly. This is why the Newcastle game is so important. This is why losing Bruno and Mainoo at this exact moment is such a disaster. United desperately need a win to relieve some of the pressure. My honest prediction. Let me give you my honest prediction for the Newcastle game. I think Manchester United will play a 4-3-3 formation. I think Casemiro and Mason Mount will start in midfield. I think Joshua Zirkzee will play as the number 10 or false 9. I think Rashford and Garnacho will be the wide forwards. I think it will be a very tight game. Newcastle will be organised and hard to break down. United will create some chances but struggle to take them without Bruno's creativity. I predict a 1-1 draw. United will score first, probably through Garnacho or set piece. Newcastle will equalise in the second half. Both teams will push for a winner but neither will find it. A draw is not a disaster, but it is not what United need either. They need wins. They need to climb the table. Another draw keeps them in mid-table mediocrity. The real test will come in the games after Newcastle. Can United cope without Bruno and Mainoo for multiple matches? Can other players step up? Can Amorim find solutions? These are the questions that will define Manchester United's season. Final thoughts. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about Manchester United's midfield crisis heading into the Newcastle game on Boxing Day. Losing Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo at the same time is a huge blow. These are two of the team's most important players. Replacing them will be incredibly difficult. Ruben Amorim has some options. He can go defensive with Casemiro and Ugarte. He can be more attacking with Casemiro and Mount. Or he can gamble on youth with Jack Fletcher. My guess is he will choose the Mount option and hope Zirkzee can provide something in the number 10 role. The formation will probably still be a 4-3-3 as planned. Amorim has committed to this change and he needs to follow through. Going back to the 3-4-2-1 now would look like panic. Can United win without Bruno and Mainoo? It will be tough. Very tough. But it is possible if other players step up and take responsibility. This is a defining moment for Amorim's time at Manchester United. How he handles this crisis will tell us a lot about him as a manager. Does he have the tactical flexibility to find solutions? Can he motivate players to perform above their level? Can he handle the pressure? We will find out on Boxing Day. Make sure you stay tuned to United Daily Updates for all the latest news and analysis. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already. We are your most trusted source for everything Manchester United. We will be covering the Newcastle game live and giving you our honest reaction. What do you think United should do? Who should play in midfield? What formation should they use? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Come on United. Let us hope the players can rise to the challenge and get a much-needed win on Boxing Day.